talking about what you just finished saying, like, in other words, if the reader is just only getting one piece of information, in other words, is like, if they don't like it, in other words, why they're reading it. That's what I'm trying to, you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
Right, we heard in the video, right, that it was the consumer's responsibility to audit the new media. And first-person journalism is part of the new media. It's a new trend.
But that goes back to what me and Michelle said about it making it a hot topic because you're not getting all the facts, so you're gonna go to the internet, you're gonna look up this and that, and that's gonna get a conversation started.
Yeah.
One post, one comment could start a whole trend.
And I would like to point out, if you go to page 2 and look at the picture of the world of data, I'll let you guys go. Okay, you'll see that Twitter and Facebook have the most like numbers out of every. Oh,
700 billion on Facebook.
You'll see that those two popular social media networks, they have the most out of everything else. And like, if you see the first one, like emails, it doesn't go out as much as Facebook and
Facebook got a billion. 700 billion.
yeah, that's more people in the world.
Exactly.
Say that again, please.
Stay with me. Oh, that Facebook and Twitter. Well, Facebook has the most out of everything.
That's just time.
It's
Yeah.
50 million tweets
But
per day,
I'm just
and 100 minutes on Facebook per month.
Say it again, Black?
It's 50 million tweets per day, and then 700 million minutes, like, is found on Facebook each month.
Yeah, like that's way more than just sending out an email. Like saying if it's not on a serious social network, then your news won't get anywhere. It'll get to a couple of people who won't get as much as Facebook and Twitter will.
Obama's election got
I'm gonna ask you a question is,
Actually,
Facebook, yeah.
emails would be more,
It's 2.9 million.
because it says 2.9 million per second, and this one's saying, 700 billion per month.
that's 700 million minutes.
700 billion.
Billion minutes
Yeah,
people are
but
spending
per
every
This
month
one
on.
says per second.
You know how many minutes there is now?
Yeah, but per month.
But still, but think about it like this. Obama's election got all this media frenzy because of Facebook. Yes, it did. Because of the young kids.
It was exposed.
Exactly.
And I wonder how much of the media, like the journalism that was associated with that campaign. Because, right, the journalism, campaign journalism is, in a way, it's definitely slanted. I wonder how much was first-person journalism versus disguised, factual, plain written, third-person journalism, right? So I'm starting to lean towards liking first-person journalism more because of that line that most readers know journalists have biases, but in personally inflected features, it's out there for everyone to see. Like, I feel like they're being honest. Like, here are all my feelings. Here are some facts. Maybe not all the facts, but here's some facts. Here's my interpretation of the facts. I'm putting myself in and my biases right up front with the facts. You can decide. Mark.
I think first person journalism is better because as I think like what Michelle and Capri said, I think when it's a more controversial topic and you give your opinion, but I think you should still give all the facts to why you have that opinion, and then I think that's gonna get the whole topic rolling or whatever. And I feel like everybody's opinion counts, so like reading in first person, writing in first person, somebody gonna read it and say, nah, I don't agree with him. I'm gonna say what I think, and then it's gonna like keep on going like a chain reaction. So I feel like first person is more effective than writing in second or third person.
Go.
Oh, okay. All right. So I disagree with Mark. I think that first-person journalism is interesting, but when it comes to the truth, you won't really see the other side. Okay, so everybody go to page 3, second to last paragraph. It says that this is very limiting for the journalist. However, since he can bring the reader inside the mind of only one character himself, a point of view that often proves irrelevant to the story and irritating to the reader. So I think that it doesn't expand on like what actually happened. It only sees one side of the story, and you should base your opinions on both sides.
But he said, since he can, that's the key word right there, he can. If you state all the facts saying why you don't like it, why you have that opinion, then you're not gonna limit anybody. If you give all the facts and you tell people the truth, then they're not gonna have nothing to say.
You have something to respond to?
No, I don't have
I'm saying that third person is just. I'm saying that third person is just more reliable because they're usually gonna give all the facts. But in first person, you don't know if they're giving all the facts, and they need to go to a third person source to get all the facts.
No, that's why
Third
everybody. That's why
How do you
everybody
know that
contributes on
Wait, let him
Facebook.
down.
That's why everybody contributes their opinions on Facebook.
But think about it. Think about
Yeah,
it.
but
Is
then
Facebook actually? Are you blogging or are you actually being a journalist and writing things down?
It's both. You type it.
Yeah, you type it. What comes out your mouth?
They call it
Haters!
Keith, you're getting a little too excited. Take a deep breath. Calm down, everybody. They call Facebook, they call what you do on Facebook and Twitter and all those social media, they call it micro blogging because it's small blogging, but they do actually call it blogging.
It's coming from your mind.
Because it's,
But is blogging being a journalist?
is blogging being a journalist?
Oh,
It
the question to write down.
So it's
It was
like,
part of the prep work.
It really is.
What is the difference between blogging and journalist, like being a journalist
No
and
difference.
blogging? What was like
There is a
question,
big difference.
No.
Tiana?
I think there's like a big difference, because when you're a blogger, you're usually not really stating facts, you're more just like, oh yeah, this is something that I don't like, and it's because of this reason. And you're not really saying, oh, like,
All the facts.
yeah, like, so remember we did a while back, like second quarter?
Mm-hmm.
We looked at this thing and they were talking about when people get like moved out of their homes. And we looked at it from like two different views. Like
Right.
one guy, he's getting moved out of his home, so he's all sad and stuff. And then like another view is that, oh yeah, we need it for this, like for schools and stuff. So bloggers will only say, oh yeah, this person get moved out, just all the bad stuff about it. And not ever like talk about, oh yeah, it's cause like they need schools for this and stuff. And like they won't see the other view of it.
What about something from the section in your text, Gemily?
On page 3, to back up what she's saying, it says
Who's she?
blog, well, Tiana is saying blogging versus journalism. It says, you have to read the 2 paragraphs.
Guys,
Just
Pick-
like magazines have always been hybrid forms, often including a mix of third-person features, reviews, service, how-to pieces, and first-person essays or columns. In some important respects, the craft of magazine writing remains the same online, yet the rise of professional blogging has also influenced magazine writers, fueling the emphasis on the personal. For obvious reasons, this can be problematic for journalism. In the blogosphere, there are no common rules for how sources, quote, or observed events are handled, and they are often portrayed in highly subjective and an
Verifiable.
manner. In most cases, bloggers are working for themselves and don't have an editing support staff to question
Unsubstantiated?
opinions, help with research, or fact check. So that's that. And also, when it says, what Jamie was saying about, right there, paragraph 4, that a point of view that often proves irrelevant to the story and irritating to the reader. It reminded me of when we read the things they carried and how we were all frustrated with finding out if it was the truth that was happening or they were just making up the story about the war and all that. So yeah.
half of it was
Well, not exactly that.
Mark, you're looking very angry over there. Would you like to say something else?
I'm trying to,
true. Trying to think, right?
yeah.
Well, it's interesting because
I know what I want to say, but I'm trying to put it in the correct terms.
So how do you feel about blogging? Because blogging is typically done in the first person, and you said you think first person is okay as long as you back up your opinion with facts, and this says that sometimes the problem with blogging is that you don't have someone to make sure you're substantiating your opinions, which means like when something is unsubstantiated, you're not backing them up with facts.
Alright, so I mean, it's hard to answer that question because basically all I want to say is just that I feel like nobody should blog, nobody should post anything if you're not gonna tell the truth about it. If you're not gonna say the 100% truth, then don't say nothing.
But who's gonna tell somebody not to post if you're not saying the truth. People do what they want.
Yeah.
You're not gonna listen
This is
to
my
nobody.
opinion, I'm not telling anybody what to do, I'm saying what I think people should do. I'm not telling anybody what to do.
Right, so your truth is different than like someone else's truth. Like everyone's version of the truth is gonna be different too. That's also something to consider. And then I also like circled in my notes what Will said about the role of the reader being so important in all of this.
But not all third person is correct, cause they can quote somebody and change their whole words and the meaning of what they're saying.
Well, actually, when you put something, you have to put.
No,
And
not all the time. No, but when you can misconstrue it, because if you, when you see things, they'll be like, that's not what I meant, that's not how I said it. So that's not all the time.
Yes. And that, you know, that's an interesting piece because in professional journalism, if you're a professional journalist and you do that, that's libel. You get sued, you lose your job and all of your money. But if you're a blogger and you do that, nothing really happens to you.
They do that in magazines.
I think you can still be sued for libel only if, and here's how libel works, only if the person who was libeled can prove significant damages. So like if I misquote Keith on a website, he can't, and if nothing really happens bad to him, he can't really do anything about it. But if like it ruins his life and he loses his job and all of his friends and like goes into a depression and has to pay for therapy, then he can sue me, right? Because he could prove all of those damages. But if you can't prove damages, you can't sue for libel.
You mean like,
So I think even like if you're misquoted on a blog, if you can prove damages, you probably could sue the blogger for libel.
No, but they do that in magazines.
That would be an interesting thing to explore. Yeah, magazines, any type of publication.
It's still people.
So what is TMZ? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's why some of those gossip things, sorry,
TMZ
Emily, they
first
get
person
away
to
with
Gemini,
the
that's what I'm
libel
saying.
because if they can't like prove the damages, sometimes the celebrity doesn't really care to like go through the process of showing that they were damaged.
I don't have a side on what I think, but I find more evidence for that they shouldn't be permitted to be.
They should or should not?
She shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
So on page 4, the dangers of first-person journalism, paragraph 3 says, they vet story ideas, sources, and the evidence for an argument. They question a writer's reasoning, especially if it's based on personal experience or an appeal to the emotions. Then paragraph 4 says, starting second sentence, passion in writing is terrific, but emotion for emotion's sake or pundit, I don't know what that says, sake can be dangerous, as Carol Rivers wrote in 2009 in her Huffington Post blog. A media and politics of emotion lead the national agenda in a prolonged stall. Then the next sentence, next paragraph, it says, more objective forms of information, and this fact has already begun to affect our politics. So.
More
That was
objective.
the last-
It was in the second section, that's why we were all confused.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
So, fix it.
What's your analysis?
Yeah.
What are you
What
trying
do
to
you
say?
mean with my
Why you read that for?
Well, how do you interpret that quote?
Which quote I read?
I read
Everything.
Yeah, what?
Yeah,
Basically, that first person perspective is affecting politics.
So hold on, the first one, the second one, objective forms, so like when you're objective, you don't have an opinion. But the first one that you said, the first quote, too much first person voice or too much heat, passion in writing is terrific, but emotion for emotion's sake can be dangerous. That actually supports your argument, but the other one
This one's
goes.
the politics one.
Yeah, but it says more objective forms of information has already begun to affect our politics, which is confusing because objective means that there is no opinion. So it says more and more Americans are moving to hot, emotion-laden methods of getting news and away from cool, more objective forms of information. And this fact has, okay, so the comma's there, what's confusing me. So the fact that people are reading more emotion, yeah, so you are right. Your interpretation is right. I misread it. You're correct. The fact that people are reading more emotion-riddled news is affecting the way that people are then processing like the politics. It's probably one of the reasons that Obama was elected, right? People are reading the news on Facebook, a lot of first-person journalism. It helped him get elected, which worked out really great for a lot of people.
Facebook got Obama elected.
No. That was going for
Every black person on Facebook.
No, you was not.
Right, but the way that the government is functioning now, it's changing the landscape of America. That's a really good point.
Yeah, that's true.
I was voting for Dick Cheney.
I wanted to go for what Emily said.
It's a really good point.
About paragraph 3 and how there's still good reason for editorial control, and how they find typos and it questions a writer's reasoning, like why they write it.
Mhm.
So I think that's why we need to have journalism instead of like blogging, because they make sure it's factual information. They don't just let them write anything.
But some people on Facebook do the same.
You're citing paragraph 3 about elements of style? Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to disagree with you, but it's like some people have different perspectives of the exact same thing. So you can say one thing and have a little bit of evidence, but I can have like the whole other rest of the evidence. And that's why I think blogging is actually good for journalism, because you have more than one perspective on the whole topic.
Right? You get a lot of opinions from others and gather it up to one.
Instead of just having one person tell you something that could be wrong. You know what I'm saying?
That's why you got to.
You can speak.
I agree with Jamie because on page 4, the second paragraph, it says bloggers are often highly self-reflexive, meaning they do not only talk about their lives but record their action as they're doing them. I think I'm going to begin every post just like that from now on. So a little of this goes a long way in a journalistic feature and quickly becomes tedious. I think that they should not add a first person point of view in journalism because it only talks about their feelings, and even though the reader can connect to it, it's not giving the whole fact of everything.
I'm saying that journalism should be like that project that we got right now. That it should be like blogging should be like the reaction to what the third person journalism does. So the journalism they write it in third person, but then the bloggers they write what they think about what they write in third person, but in first person. I think that's how it should work.
So that's interesting. First person journalism should be a response to the third person journalism.
Yeah.
So like,
It's gonna create more opinions, and it's gonna create more
Kiana?
controversy.
I think one problem with first-person journalism is that sometimes like things that like important like facts and stuff start to get lost in information. So like say I'm reading an article and I think it's true, and then like someone just puts their opinion on it, and I'm like, oh, I think their opinion is true, and I'm a blogger and I like put their opinion, but it seems like it's a fact, and all of a sudden like the information just gets lost of like what actually happened. And I think what Jimmy says is kind of like true. Like I think it's fine like this on Facebook and you put the actual article and they just put like comments under it of like how you feel, other than just like only a comment of the article, like only summarizing the article. I don't think that's a lot.
Because like that people can form their own opinions. Like they have the article, they have the evidence, and then somebody online could just read the article, the third person article, and then have their first person opinion. But then somebody else reads the first person opinion, and they say, oh wait, where did you get this from? Oh, I got this from the article. So then they go read the article, but hey, I don't agree with you with this, and then they start debating about what they think, and then you have both sides of the story, instead of having just the source being first person, and they block out the details, and they don't have all the information, so people don't form other opinions about the article.
So how would we know how would we know that third person has factual information? Like in other words, not being better in factual information than a first person.
They have I think third person articles. They have like the information, their sources. They have it cited. They even have like videos or pictures of like the things that actually happen. I mean, you can say the same thing about like first person articles.
It depends on the person you don't feel like it depends on the person who's writing it.
Yeah.
Why are they writing it? The purpose of who's writing it.
Because not every source is always true. Not the information they always say is true.
take a look at the guidelines for first-person journalism on the last page, because this whole article that we used for the seminar was written by a professor of journalism who knows this trend is going to happen, and some of her students are going to become journalists, and some of them are going to write in the first person for a specific purpose. Like there probably are reasons that it could exist, and maybe it's a response to a third-person article, maybe it's a feature story. Maybe it's like more like a how-to and it adds credibility, who knows. So think about this list, and here's like an extra credit assignment. When you're completing the seminar reflection, and this could actually be like also starting your break work, try to find a story, try to find some first-person journalism. Just like go through the news and read and just find a story that uses I from one of the sites on your break work list. And see if it meets these guidelines. See if it's doing these things, and then you could share out tomorrow when we start class. It'd be interesting to see like how these play out and if it changes some of the opinions we formed today.